to talk to you a little bit more about dust. I've worked for 20 years now, perhaps just over 20 years, as an occupational hygienist, and a lot of people say to me, what is that? And one of the important jobs that we do in checking how much people are exposed to hazardous substances is to measure and monitor dust. And dust is a problem throughout all types of industry, whether you're construction industry and you're creating stone dust, or just dust as you travel across a site, perhaps a nuisance dust, or whether you work in industry, perhaps you're working with woods, and creating wood dust is a very common hazard. There are limits on the amount of dust you can actually be exposed to and still be safe. Those limits are measured for us over a period of 4 hours, averaged out then to a period of 8 hours to be a working day. And we have limits which come from the Health and Safety Executive, which say, well, how much dust can you be exposed to? It's very difficult to estimate just with your eyes how much dust you're actually being exposed to in the workplace. Hence we come out and we perform measurements, we fit up guys with filters, and we can actually tell you exactly how much. But it's something which is asked again and again, well, how do I know if I've potentially got a problem with dust? We can all feel those kind of things when we're exposed to dust. You get the feeling of a dry throat, you get the feeling of the dust hitting the back of your neck. We're actually designed to filter out dust quite effectively. We capture dust here, we capture dust at the back of our neck, we capture dust even as it goes into our lungs, more effectively if we aren't smokers than if we are smokers, but it does capture that. So if you're feeling any of those kind of feelings, those kind of symptoms that you're being exposed to a dust which does cause you a dry throat, you can feel it in your nose, or perhaps you blow your nose and you can see the results of inhaling that dust, then it could very well be that you have a dust problem. The best way to control dust is to stop making it in the first place. That's easier for some people to do than others. Within a construction environment, you might be able to use water to suppress the dust. It's important to also think about another of our talks there where we talk about respirable crystalline silica. But if we talk generally about dust for now, water suppression can work quite well. So you do wet cutting. If you're working within industry or other parts of construction, you may be able to capture that dust at source as it's created. So something as simple as a drill, you can have an extraction point. If you've got a jigsaw, you may have an extraction point at the base of that where you can pull away and capture dust. The final thing to think about with dust and dust exposure is if you can't do any of those things to prevent dust exposure in the first place, you're going to need to protect yourself. And so always our last line of defence, if we can't capture it, eliminate it, substitute it, so on through the hierarchy, we're going to look at personal protective equipment. And so if you do come on to the dusts and protection through a dust mask, don't forget you've got different types which suit different types of dust. You've got nuisance dust where you can use a P1 mask, and you'll see that marked on the mask. You've got dusts which are perhaps more hazardous, like a wood dust, where you'll have a P2 mask. Again, that's marked on the mask itself. And you'll go up to the final one where you're looking at things like respirable crystalline silica, or perhaps a particularly hazardous or very fine dust or mist, where you'll look at the final classification, which is a P3. Any of those masks you buy, and this is an important one, which does still sometimes gets missed, is you're going to have to face fit those masks, and so you're going to have to make sure you get the right kind of seal. And so look for another one of our videos where we talk to you about face fit and exactly what that involves.